What's good, YouTube? It's your boy SB back here with another sports break. Now, for as long as I can remember, the NBA has been a wash towards the end of the season. Those last games, they really don't matter. The whole last month of the season usually does not matter. But last year, the NBA incorporated a new play-in tournament that makes these games matter a lot more. And it really didn't matter much last year because they were in a bubble, no home court, and the teams that were in it really wasn't all that interested. But this year, everything's changed. All these teams are hooping at this moment, and it makes the play-in tournament a lot more important. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the play-in tournament, the rules, how everything shakes out, and my prediction on which team is going to make it into the playoffs. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So it shakes out like this. There are going to be 4 teams from each conference. The 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10 seeds in the current standards of the NBA right now. Starting with the 9 and the 10, they're going to play each other. The loser of that game can go ahead and start their offseason now. The winner of that game will face the winner of the 7th and 8th seed for who will be the 8th seed. Now in that first game, the 7th and the 8th, the winner of that seed, that game will be the 7th seed. So it sets up for a really intriguing play-in tournament that kind of acts as a wild card, is what it's been compared a lot to. But I think this is way different than any wild card in any other league. And I'm going to explain to you why. It's mostly because of the teams that are involved in this year's play-in. There's teams like the Lakers who are not supposed to be there. There's teams like the Warriors who have this name and this history behind them, but nobody ever seen them as an 8th seed. And then you have the lower seeds of teams who just desperately want to be in because they usually wouldn't have an opportunity like this. Enter the Spurs or the Pacers. So this tournament has brought a lot of parity to the league. Teams that usually don't have a shot at the end of the season now have an opportunity to play their way into the playoffs. And you got teams that's kind of on the bubble like the Hornets and the Grizzlies who could upset a team like the Warriors or the Wizards who are really hot right now. So I'm going to go ahead and break down the teams that we have in this play-in tournament, show you their matchups, and pick my winners for each game. Alright, let's start this in the East. And we're going to start with the first game, the lower of the 2 seeds, the 9 versus the 10, the Hornets versus the Pacers. Now the Hornets have been a surprise this season. They boast a relatively young team, and they feature the possible rookie of the year for this season, LaMelo Ball. Now these guys are fun to watch, they're high flying, and they've been shooting the lights out this season. Mostly buoyed by Terry Rozier, who's been a dog all season long this year. So I think the Hornets are live. They have a really good opportunity to get past the Pacers, but the Pacers have been a very stout team this season defensively and offensively, led by Malcolm Brogdon, who's been averaging over 20 this year. They also just got Karis LeVert back. He's averaging over 20. And they have Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis, who are threats in the paint for anyone that comes in. I think this young Hornets team is going to have a lot to show to us, and they're going to have their first playoff vibe game this year. I'm going to pick the Pacers to win this game, and I just think the inexperience of the Hornets is going to show, and some of that stuff that the Pacers have, very clutch gene. And I think ultimately the defense on the inside is going to be a big difference in this game. I don't think the Hornets are going to be able to keep up with the Twin Towers that the Pacers have. Miles Turner has been proven to be an inside and outside type of guy. Domantas Sabonis has been posting everybody up in the paint and going over the top. I don't think Miles Bridges is ready for that matchup. And I think that Malcolm Brogdon is one of the best defending guards in the league. So he'll have something to show for both LaMelo and Terry Rozier. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hornets win. I want the Hornets to win, but I don't think logically that they would have enough to topple the Indiana Pacers. All right, up next we have the 7th-seeded Boston Celtics going against the 8th-seeded Washington Wizards. The Wizards have had a very interesting season this year. It started off the beginning of the season not being able to beat a soul. And then they come back from All-Star break, start off a little slow, but then they catch fire fast. And I don't think they've lost more than 2 games in their previous 20 games, which says a lot. Bradley Beal has been putting together one of the best seasons that he's ever had, and my personal favorite all-time player, Russell Westbrook, has shown that his stamp and his respect needs to be given in this league. But they're going to have a tough matchup against the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum has been on the tear. He's been carrying his team ever since the injury of Jaylen Brown, And he's been keeping them afloat, keeping them in that number 7 seed, making sure that they have the home court advantage for this playing game. I think Boston's known that they're going to be in this tournament for quite a while now. And they're not sure who they're going to play, but they're going to be running into a buzzsaw in the Washington Wizards. Now, my thing is the Washington Wizards don't have many ancillary pieces on the outside of Bill and Westbrook, but those two guys can get you a win. And they can get you a win against a team that's really down bad like the Boston Celtics. This is a very tough game to pick. I think JT is going to show up. He's going to have one of his best games. He's going to treat this like a playoff game, and he's going to really show up and hoop. I think it really determines on what type of Kimball Walker they get in this game. And seeing that I don't think that he'll be on his good stuff, I'm taking the Washington Wizards in this one, man. And I think that Russell Westbrook is going to have a feasting day on these guards. Marcus Smart is probably the best option to guard him, but I don't even think Marcus Smart have anything for him. Because if you put Marcus Smart, your best defender, on Russell Westbrook, who are you going to put on Bradley Beal? It's not going to be Evan Fournier, and you don't want to have JT doing too much, knowing that he's really your only offensive weapon. I also want to speak to the fall off of Kimball Walker. I think Kimball Walker gets a bad deal a lot of the times. This season hasn't been his best season, but Kimball Walker is a hooper. He's still got one of the sickest handles in the league, still can get his own shot at any time. Whether he knocks down that shot or not, sometimes it's hit or miss. And just that inconsistency is one of the reasons why I can't pick them to win this matchup. I think Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double for the 6th time in his career is amazing. It's awesome. And I think this tear will only help them propel them past the Boston Celtics. So in this scenario, the Wizards will get the 7th seed and set up a date with the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the playoffs. Good luck with that. Now we got the business of the Celtics against the Pacers for the 8th seed. And the Celtics will be hosting this game, seeing that they have a better record than the Pacers. And I think that'll be one of the key factors on why the Celtics win this game. The Celtics are a lot more talented than the Indiana Pacers at the end of the day. And while the Pacers will be able to capitalize on the inexperience of the Hornets, they don't have that luxury with the Celtics. They have a team. They're going to be playing against a team that's been in the Eastern Conference Finals for the past 3 years in a row. And plus a player like JT, Jason Tatum, I trust him way more than any Pacer that's going to be on the floor. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. It's going to be really close. And it's going to be a tooth and nail game for the Celtics. But they do have way more talent on their team. And Jason Tatum has been a different kind of beast since Jaylen Brown has went down. They're going to miss Jaylen Brown a lot in the playoffs, but Jason Tatum's going to be good enough to get them through a play-in game where they only have to win one game, and it being against a lowly Pacer team. And now we head out west. Starting with the lower 2 seeds, the 9 and the 10, the Spurs versus the Grizzlies. Now let's take a second to talk about the Spurs. This past Sunday, the last day of the NBA regular season, the Spurs played the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns been locked into their spot. They really didn't have much to play for. They rest all their starters except one, Mikal Bridges. The Spurs been locked into that 10th seed for at least a month now. And they had nowhere to go. They played this game in order to keep their guys hot and keep their guys ready to go into the play-in. So they played every single starter. Didn't bench a soul. Pop played the same rotation that he always plays, and they lost this game. So I think they're going to lose this one as well against the Grizzlies. The Spurs have a lot of bodies that they can throw at the Grizzlies' best player, Ja Morant. They have DeJounte Murray. They have Lonnie Walker. Not to mention their best player, DeMar DeRozan. All guys are capable of defending Ja on their own without help. So I think that Ja's probably going to have a bad game. But Ja's not the X factor of this game. It'll be Jaren Jackson Jr. down low. A player that the Grizzlies haven't had all season, and they're going to be happy to welcome him back. And he's been dominant since he's been back. They have virtually no answer for them down low in the Spurs. And the Grizzlies also have a bunch of shooters on the outside, being Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, and a bunch of other players that they can bring in to put around Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. and have them create enough of a distraction to where these shooters can be very lethal. So I think the combination of all those factors are the reason why the Spurs probably won't make it past the Grizzlies. Now it's time for the game that everybody's been waiting for. The reason why this play-in tournament is going to be so popular for this season, and the game that you're going to have to wait the longest to see. But it's going to be worth the wait, I can guarantee it. It's the Lakers versus the Warriors. Now, LeBron and his Lakers team is not supposed to be here right now, but injuries have really ran through this whole organization this season. You had Anthony Davis miss time with an Achilles and a groin. You had LeBron miss time with a high ankle sprain, which he tweaked in the last game of the season. And you have Dennis Schroeder, who's just not coming back from safety protocols. But this is a very talented team, a team that people seem to think should be one of the top 4 teams in the West, let alone in the NBA. But they're going to run into a red-hot Warriors team. And there's no secret why the Warriors is here. Yes, Steve Kerr has them gelling, has them playing well as a unit, and they play through each other. But Steph Curry has been on another level this season, and he's carried this team to this position to be able to be in this play-in game and have a spot at the playoffs. Now, I don't think that this game really matters much more because a lot of people seem to think that whoever loses this game will win the next game, and they'll eventually be 7-8, one of the two. But I'm going to take the Lakers to win this game because they have infinitely more talent on their side of the ball than the Warriors do. But the X factor of this game is not going to be Steph Curry. It's not going to be LeBron. It's not going to even be Anthony Davis. It's going to be Draymond Green. Draymond Green is easily the best defender that the Warriors have. But who's Draymond going to guard? If he's going to guard Anthony Davis, then you don't have anything for LeBron. If he's going to guard LeBron, then you don't have anything for Anthony Davis. Draymond Green is going to have to have his best defensive game that he's had this season against no matter which body he has, and he might have to see both of them and try to shut both of them down because your next best option is either Wiggins or Oubre, and they're going to get murdered down there facing either one of these bodies. I think Steph Curry is probably going to put up 50. He's going to shoot at least 40 times, and half of those are going to be threes, and half of those threes he's going to make, probably more than half. But I don't think that's going to be enough to topple this Laker team that just has more physicality than them and more firepower than this Warrior team had. So now we set up the game for the 8th seed, the Warriors versus the Grizzlies. This is a game we just seen on the last day of the regular season this past Sunday, with the Warriors edging them out by about 12. But they were up by at least 17. And the Grizzlies came back in the fourth quarter to make this a single-digit lead. They just couldn't finish the comeback. They had their best shooter foul out of the game, and that's really when the Warriors ran away with it, with Steph Curry hitting that dagger and showing everybody his nipples. But I don't think that the Grizzlies have enough ultimately to beat this Warrior team. Now, I think eventually that Steph Curry has been a star this season, and eventually that star might just burn out. And what do you have when you don't have Steph Curry showing up at night? He can't drop 46 every night. Can't show up and drop 50 every night. He shot the ball 35 times against the Grizzlies. That's extremely high for a person of Steph Curry's caliber. They're going to need some help on this team if they're going to make a deep run. I think the Warriors, if they get the AC, which I'm predicting that they will beat the Grizzlies easily, if they get the AC, they'll run into the Utah Jazz, a team that they can definitely beat. But they're going to need one more score to average 20 in that series to beat the Jazz. I think the Warriors take care of the Grizzlies. They lock up this 8th seed, and they set up a pretty interesting 1-8 matchup, one that hasn't been this interesting for a long time. So there you have it, a full breakdown for the 2021 NBA play-in game. This tournament will start on May the 18th, and the first game will be on TNT. 5:30 is going to be the Hornets versus the Pacers. Now it's time for the comment of the day. Leave me a comment down below on what teams you think is going to make the NBA playoffs this year. Give me your 7, your 8 for the East and the West, and why. If you like this type of content, make sure you leave a like, and make sure you hit the subscribe button for your boy and help to continue to grow this channel. And other than that, I'm out. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch you in the next one.